measuring stick just changed around here, buddy. You're looking at it.
You are now listening to the Outsiders Podcast, the most exciting and hard-hitting show on the net. And now, bringing it hard as always on the Kansas City Chiefs and the NFL, here are your hosts, Clint Schweitzer and Noah Groniger.
And it's Raiders Week Part 2, the sequel! Chiefs and Raiders, 2-11 versus 3-10. Have you ever been so excited for a Chiefs-Raiders game?
Nope, ever since Monday night when we had the 11-1 Texans at the 9-3 Patriots, have we seen a battle like this?
This is definitely up there. Well, we are going to have George Atkinson, Mr. Raider himself, on to talk about this game with us, so I am excited about that.
Yes, love George. I mean, I hate the Raiders. I've always had this disdain for the Raiders and the Broncos in our division, but absolutely have loved having George on. I think he's a great guy. I mean, I've always seen the legend NFL films of him. It's great to have him on.
Yeah, it's funny because watching George and talking to him, and he's kind of become a friend of the shows, all of a sudden started having a soft spot for the Oakland Raiders. I'm sorry, I'm just like you, just like any other Chiefs guy. We're Kansas City people. But the way he talked about last time, talked about the loving relationship, he talked about Otis Taylor and should be in the Hall of Fame, just talked so glowingly about our Chiefs that, I can't help but throw praise his way and what great teams he was on with Jack Tatum. To me, one of the best safety combination in the NFL history.
Oh, yeah, definitely. With George just coming over the middle. If you come over the middle, you are going to get it across the face.
I think that's why he's agreed to come back on the show, because we told him last time that we would not go over the middle on him. He would not have to forearm us to the chin. So we've stayed clear, and so George is going to join us. We're going to be talking about the game and just kind of where the two teams are at. This is going to be a game. Dwayne Bowe is out for the year with the broken ribs. The team is horrible. Going into Oakland, where they've only lost twice in the last 10 years, which is unbelievable. Kansas City, that is. But I don't think that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be able to go get a win here. I think the wheels that kind of got going with the Carolina game have fell back off after Cleveland, and I think Oakland's gonna win this game. They're the better team, and they haven't been playing well, but I think Oakland's the better team.
Yeah, just from last time, just look at the defensive line and how they just mauled us. That's going to happen again, and without Dwayne Bowe to throw the ball to, you're going to have to run the ball a lot more, and that defensive line is in our backfield every second. So
yeah, the Raiders, who have not been good the last few seasons, haven't had a winning record in 10 years, but their defensive line seems to eat up Kansas City. Even in 2010, when the Kansas City Chiefs won the division at 10-6, we lost twice to the Raiders, and both times we could not get the running game going with Jamal Charles and our, that was a good Chiefs team. So I don't know. I think it's going to be another long day, maybe in the black hole. I think their fans are still going to show up for it because they don't know anything better, and there's no, I don't think there's any riots or anything going on that week in Oakland to attend. So
unfortunately,
well. And I want to ask George, Carson Palmer's a guy. The Raiders are actually a good passing team. I like Moore in the passing game. I think he's an up-and-coming receiver. They average the most passes, yards per attempt than any team in the league. Does that just show you they're just throwing the ball up and getting some good plays out of the receivers? The running game's obviously not been there for Oakland.
They're a deep passing team. They've got speed out there with Hayward Bay. Jacoby Ford hasn't been playing this year, but he's a speed guy. You got Denarius Moore, speed guy. Rod Streeter's kind of a bigger guy that they have. I kind of like him, but they don't have the intermediate quick slant passing game over the middle, tough guys. They just throw it 60 yards down the field and hope for the best.
Well, we got to bring this up too. Of course, receivers. The Kansas City has been a hot topic, and a lot of talk this week about Romeo Crennel and the relationship with Steve Breston, who has not been playing inexplicably so. We don't really know the true story. We hear Romeo Crennel go, say, well, we got other guys we like better right now. But when those other guys are Newsome and, guys that we just haven't seen, this is just inexplicable to me. He's the most seasoned receiver on this team, probably second to Dwayne Bowe as far as talent-wise, but is this just a Todd Haley thing? Why is Steve Breaston not playing football for this team? It's inexplicable, and I think it's a fireable offense.
Yeah, I heard that maybe Steve Breaston didn't want to play after the Belcher situation. I also heard that Romeo came out and said, well, if he knows the game plan, if he's on top of everything, then he'll play. If not, then he won't. Like, I don't get it.
I don't get it either. And this is a guy that came in, Todd Haley saying about all those things about him, that he was a guy that's going to know the game plan, a veteran that's going to come in, be prepared. And I haven't heard anything other than that until this. I mean, I think Breaston is a good player, a guy that's, I mean, this is a 5-year, $25 million signing in 2011 that is just not getting on the field.
So the number 2 guy to Larry Fitzgerald, they felt comfortable with
Yeah.
that. I mean, he was a very good player. Yes, he had Kurt Warner throwing him the ball, but I mean, this is an accomplished receiver, and he comes here and just does absolutely nothing. It's ridiculous. Now he can't even get on the field.
It just shows you the further disconnect between our organization, players and coaches in front office, and players. Like, what is going on? Romeo has no idea what's going. He just, to me, the more I've heard Romeo this year and seen what's happened on the field, the guy just has no clue what's going on. None. That's the only explanation for any of this. I'm sorry. There's no more excuses. He has no idea what's going on. He can't.
I agree. I mean, he's a defensive coordinator. He's not meant to be a head coach. You saw that in Cleveland. And he just is a bumbling fool. He has absolutely no idea what's going on offensively, team-wise, the locker room. It's a total disconnect for Romeo. He's got a rapport with some of the defensive players. He knows the defense. Other than that, he just has no idea.
Well, we're going to go ahead and bring on George Atkinson. Guys, George does pre- and post-game for the Oakland Raiders out there for every Raider football game. So, their fans know him. They see him. They hear him before and after every game. They know him as a legend that he is. So it's our pleasure to go ahead and bring on George.
And George Atkinson.
George Atkinson, when he had a little hook. George wasn't really big enough to take on some of those fullbacks and guys, so he would come in from the side and just hook them right across the face, in the eyes, in the nose, under the chin, and he was great at it, and he did it with the power.
You can see receivers kind of pulling up. You can see it in the eyes. You can see fear in the receiver's face. The tough ones hang tough in there, but the ones that don't have a lot of heart, they give it up.
And we are joined for a second time by Mr. Raider himself, George Atkinson. George, you must have liked us a little bit. You decided to come back on the show for the second Raider week. How you doing down there in California?
I do like you guys. We had a good time last time, and I thought it would be okay to do it again. These two teams have been playing each other forever, and why not? It's a lot of fun, and I can remember having fun playing against the Chiefs, and now I'm having fun with you guys on the radio.
Well, and we promised we wouldn't come over the middle on you, and we didn't do that either. So.
As long as you stay out the middle, we don't have a problem.
Exactly. So, well, the last time we talked to you, George, the Raiders had come off that win over the Kansas City Chiefs, and they were sitting, I believe, a game or so out of first place. And since then, the Raiders have gone winless. Kansas City has just the one win since then against Carolina. And in your opinion, what has been the problem for Oakland in as far as this losing streak goes?
Oakland's biggest problem is personnel. I've been saying that all year, that there's a personnel problem. There's no depth, a number of injuries, and with the front line guys, you just don't have the depth to come in and fill those gaps. And that's been their biggest issue, I think, is they just don't have personnel right now. I think that's going to be a focus for them during the off season, is to fill their roster with quality players and players who want to play for the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah, and we heard a few weeks ago that Rolando McClain, your middle linebacker, wanted out of Oakland. He wasn't happy, but just recently got reinstated and is back with the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah, but I don't know how long that'll last. He just doesn't show a desire that he wants to play football. You look at the guy, the way he moves around the football field. it's like he's not really interested in what he's doing, what his profession is. I don't know if it's that he just don't want to play here, or does he really have the ability to play at this level? You know, I haven't seen it, and I think the Raiders have to make a decision with him, because you're talking about a position where you see some great middle linebackers right there in Kansas City, going all the way back to Willie Lanier. When you have a good middle linebacker, then your defense flourishes. And I just don't think that this guy is the guy for the Raiders. And I think they have to do something with him before the draft. And I think start looking at a young middle linebacker coming in here and be one who's tough and can have some leadership with the defense.
Well, and we're going to be talking about that because, of course, the draft coming up in April. The Raiders right now, George, are averaging the highest yards per pass attempt in the NFL. Carson Palmer, Denarius Moore, a lot of these receivers are flourishing. But do you think Carson Palmer is the answer there in Oakland, or do you think that it may be time to start looking at another quarterback in the draft, because it's probably going to be another early pick?
Well, you can never have too many quarterbacks, and I think that you have to start looking for someone behind him. Not that Carson Palmer, I like Carson. I think with the right weapons and with a good running game, he could do something in this league, and he can lead the team far into the playoffs, I think. But you still always have to, because this league is, these linebackers and defensive linemen are so big and so fast, quarterbacks become a target. And as you've seen throughout this season, guys go down week in and week out. And so it's good to have a quality backup behind Carson Palmer, just for the fact of depth purposes.
Do you think the Raiders need to go and get another almost frontline running back with the injury history of Darren McFadden and the fact that he just cannot stay healthy for a full 16-game season?
I think you have to look at that position also. There are a number of positions that just seem just like Kansas City. You guys, I think Kansas City defense is pretty solid, and they play pretty good. You don't have a lot of problems here, but just like Kansas City, the Raiders have a lot of issues that they have to deal with right now. And you got a young coach coming in, and with Dennis Allen, going into his second season, I'm quite sure he'll see things a little bit differently. And you have to look for improvement. We knew that this was not going to be a overnight process. And the Raiders definitely have a lot of positions to look at, especially the running back position, based on what you said. You gotta have durable running backs. So far, McFadden hasn't proven to be quite durable.
Of course, coming up, the 2-11 Chiefs will be coming in on Sunday to Oakland, playing the 3-10 Raiders. George, talk about this. During your playing days, games with the Chiefs and Raiders, typically there was a division title on the line. It happened in the playoffs many times. Talk about how hard it's going to be for both these teams right now to stay focused and try to win this game when they're both reeling and both looking at really subpar records.
Never been in that position, so that's hard for me
exactly.
to really talk about. But I can't imagine that in a position like some of these players are. I think it's an audition for them. Audition for other teams to see that they can play. And it's an audition to see if they will stay here with the organization. So, I think both teams, you have a number of guys that are auditioning right now and showing, what their capabilities are. And I think the coaches are going to give a lot of backups a chance to play, because you got nothing that you're really playing for. So now is the time for you to take a look at your roster and get an evaluation as to truly what you need. So, it's going to be interesting to see how these guys play. I think it's going to be an interesting football game, because, like I said, a lot of players have got to prove something, and you just don't keep the same roster when you're 2 and whatever and 3 and whatever. You got to change in order to get better. You got to change. So a lot of guys will get a chance to show whether they're stick or not.
How much overhaul does this Raiders defense need? It looks like that defensive line, at least when they play Kansas City, are just wreaking havoc in the backfield. But other than that, the linebackers and the secondary, how much overhaul does that need?
we definitely need a middle linebacker without a doubt. I think that should be Kenny. We could survive with what we have in Burris. I think he's coming along. He's going to be a pretty good player. I think Wheeler may be a pretty good player if they have somebody in the middle that they can play with and play off of. The secondary, man, cornerbacks. They're both two corners. Both sides, left and right cornerback. You got to look at that position. That's a position that you got to look at. But although there is a kid that's coming along by his last name's Adams, he made Bartel expendable because of his play in the last few weeks. He seems to be a pretty good little player. It'll be interesting to see how he finishes the season. But that position definitely, and middle linebacker. A patchwork here and there on the defensive line. But the secondary and linebacker position definitely needs to be overhauled.
Well, and Kansas City is going to be coming into this game shorthanded. Of course, last time we talked to you, Brady Quinn had just taken over, and he has been the starter pretty much since then. But Dwayne Bowe has found himself injured, probably out for the year with broken ribs. I mean, how big of an advantage is that for, like you talked about, the depleted secondary, but not going to have to take on Dwayne Bowe. And Romeo Crennel is fighting currently with Steve Breston, and so the receiving core may be a little subpar for Kansas City. Do you think that's going to help Oakland a lot in this game?
Well, without Bowe, definitely. I mean, it takes a little pressure off of the secondary. It's not going to help very much because, like I say, I mean, the Raiders secondary is depleted itself, so it's going to probably wind up being somewhat of an even matchup. But definitely without Bowe, I think it weakens your receiving core, and it changes your game planning, I would think. So, to that advantage, it will be an advantage for the Raiders. But other than that, I mean, like I said, these guys are fighting for jobs. So it's going to be a knockdown, drag out, I think. I think it's going to be a good, interesting football game based on the fact of what we're talking about. It's a lot at stake here for a lot of players.
Being a former safety yourself, I wanted to get your thoughts on Tyvon Branch. As I've watched him through the years from a distance, I've liked what I've seen from him, but maybe not the frontline starter that you guys were hoping for.
Well, I like him too. I think he's a pretty good football player. He's instinctive, and he will come up and hit you. Seems like he reads routes well. And I think the Raiders, he can be a mainstay in the secondary for the Raiders because he does bring something to the table, and you got to keep in mind, he's kind of like playing at 100% where most of the guys he's playing with right now, for whatever reasons, are playing at, say, 80%. And when he's going 100 miles an hour and everybody else is going 80, well, quite naturally, he's going to look like he's a standout player, which he is, and he's giving a lot, but it takes away from him also because he's not getting a lot of help, and he has to be on most plays in the secondary, which means that if for every hit you take and every hit you give, you'll hit most of the ending your career. So, once he gets some help where he can play the game like he likes to play, I think he's going to be the number one guy back there for the Raiders.
Well, I'll tell you what, George, great stuff as always. And before we let you go, we would be really remiss if we didn't ask you about your twin sons playing right now at Notre Dame. Just talk about how proud you are right now. Notre Dame's getting ready to play for a BCS title. Would you have ever have saw this coming, and how happy are your sons right now to be playing for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish?
Certainly I saw it coming. That's why I sent them there.
That's right. that was easy.
Honestly, never did see it coming. For me, I liked Kelly when he was over at Cincinnati. I thought he would make a good coach for Notre Dame, but in my wildest dreams or imaginations, I had no idea that this soon for him and for my kids, that they would be in a national championship. And, hats off to he and his coaching staff and to the players. And yes, I am proud of my sons. It's something that you don't realize or think about until it happens, that
definitely. Actually, I was watching the Football Life Marcus Allen last night, and I happened to see you on the show. You were behind Marcus Allen when he was there on the day to light the flame for Al Davis after he had passed away. And I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on Marcus Allen, the whole situation between him and Al Davis, and what are your thoughts?
Well, it's unfortunate. I guess they had some misunderstandings, which I know nothing about, so I can't comment on that very much. But I do know that Mark Davis, the owner now, he's a Marcus Allen fan, and, he and his dad are two different people. And Mark is a stand-up guy, and that's why he brought Marcus in, just to show that there's no grudges with him and Marcus. And Marcus was a Raider and is accepted as a Raider. And, he played for Kansas City also. But it was unfortunate that he and Mr. Davis had their differences. But so go life, that's how it is in life. And, we're all dealt hands that we have to play. And Marcus, I thought, plays this quite well and professionally. And he's a guy that I've always liked as a person. And a guy who's been a stand-up guy, I think, in this community as well as representing himself and what he represents. So, that's about all I have to say on that.
Well, George, hey, understandable, and I know your time is short, and we're just so happy you were able to join us today. I don't care what Lynn Swan says to us. You are an absolute class act, and we love having you on. Hey, please keep up with us through the off-season, and we'll do this again next year. We got 2 more meetings for the rest of our lifetime, so please keep up with us. And thanks again for being on. You're the man, George.
Anytime, man. You know it. You got the number. Just hit me up when you want me.
Hey, we'll do it, George. Thanks a lot, and enjoy the game Sunday. We'll definitely be listening pre- and post-game. George Atkinson with the Oakland Raiders. Hey, thanks a lot, George. We'll catch up soon, my man.
Yeah. Take care, man. Have a good one.
Thanks
Happy holidays to you and your fans.
Appreciate it. You too. And that was George Atkinson. Cannot thank him enough. Just, again, our talks with him, they speak for themselves. I mean, just great guy.
That's what we come to expect from George.
A lot of knowledge, man. I'll tell you what, can't thank him enough. Can't wait to catch back up with him. And, it's just, it's going to be interesting coming into this game. He seems to think that, and obviously these are NFL players. These are professionals. They are playing with a lot of pride. And, he thinks that a lot of guys are playing for jobs, so that if there's no other motivation, then there's definitely going to be that.
Yeah, you're auditioning not only for the Raiders, but other teams that might see you on film and like what you can do. If the Raiders let you go, maybe you'll get a chance somewhere else. Maybe a few more wins in another location there.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see what happens with this Rolando McClain situation.
Yeah.
George doesn't really like him at the middle linebacker spot. He doesn't really seem to really love football and play with that passion every single down and every single game. So they may look to move on from him, and maybe a new scenery will help Rolando get back in touch with his love for football.
It's going to be interesting to see where this division goes from here. We talked to George about maybe the Raiders needing a quarterback, and he is of the opinion that you need a quarterback at all times, strangely enough, that you just always need to be looking for another quarterback. That is, of course, something that around here we have no clue about. Or
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, exactly. Like here in Kansas City, we have no idea about quarterbacks or what to do or how to draft them.
Just let Castle Quinn go, bring in Alex Smith, have 2 unproven guys behind him, and let's roll and get some wins. Yeah. That's how it's done.
That's how it's done. Let's go. That'll get you 6 next year, maybe, Noah. Maybe 6, 7. It'd be cool with that.
Then we build some pieces around him. Maybe in 2014 we get 9 wins, 10 maybe, sneak into the playoffs and lose in the first round.
And then you need another quarterback again. And then what do you do then?
No, 2014, we get into the playoffs. We lose in the first round. 2015, the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
And then we go get maybe Matt Moore, who's 34 years old then.
Yeah.
And
but no drafting one. Right?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Guys,
you just got to keep getting your 3-4 defensive end. You got to keep getting some linemen. Keep letting let go of Albert. Get another lineman in here. Just get your quarterbacks off the scrap heap.
Yeah, because quarterbacks don't really win games in this league. I mean,
no, it's a 53-man roster. I mean, the quarterback, who cares if you don't have one? There's 52 other guys on this roster that can help win you games.
Like, you look at these losers like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees,
Aaron
Andrew
Rodgers?
Locke, Aaron Rodgers.
Who's that?
RG3. These guys,
what
are they bringing to the table?
But you could have...
What are they bringing to the table, Noah?
Colin Kaepernick or...
Yes.
I mean, come on. You can get these guys anywhere. I mean, quarterbacks grow on trees out there. You can get them anywhere and win championships. These Tom Brady's, I mean, they're just lucking into these. They got 52 other guys carrying Tom Brady to those Super Bowls.
No doubt.
It's a joke.
Oh, it's a complete joke. Quarterbacks, Who needs them? Obviously, that was the sarcasm segment brought to you by some local company. I don't know, but it hurt to even be sarcastic about the quarterback thing. You know how we feel about that. We are pounding the drum. It's quarterback or bust, and that's all I'm gonna go with that. It's quarterback.
Todd McShay has Geno Smith going number 8 to the Cardinals, and that's his first quarterback being taken. So interesting. I think the Chiefs need to go with the number 1 pick. Forget this Luke Jokel. Forget Star Ludulele.
You need to forget every name of every player into the draft that's not a quarterback's name. Just forget them.
I agree.
Just don't even look at them. Don't look at their highlights on YouTube.
I'm kind of scared, though, with the Raiders needing a middle linebacker. If they don't like McClain, maybe going Manti Te'o.
Yeah, absolutely. Very possible. And, guys, as we head into the next week of the NFL, a lot of big matchups coming up. Chiefs and Raiders, we're going to be bringing it to you post-game next week. Thanks so much for joining us, Outsiders Podcast. Clint Schweitzer, Noah Groniger, as always. Keep hitting us up where, Noah? All of our social medias, are so many of them.
We got Facebook, Twitter, message board. I mean, we've got them all.
Come check them out. We always appreciate your comments, feedback, all appreciated. And we're going to catch you guys on the flip-flop. So have a good weekend. Chiefs and Raiders. Go
the
Chiefs.
Raiders.
Get the touchdown.